we're back with another review. So today I decided I was going to combine two of the smaller categories for the TR. We're going to be reviewing the sidearms and the max weapons. Now I know that's kind of a odd combination. It's like, well, why are you doing that? It seems kind of weird that you're going to review all the secondary weapons, non-primaries, and then review some primaries at the same time. But I really just chose this just because the size of each category is extremely small. There's not a whole lot to go through with the max weapons, and realistically this shouldn't actually take very long to show off the pistols. Now, there are a lot of meta. There's a very well set meta with the pistols, but I will cover all of them in as much depth as I can. I'm sorry, it is late. I usually do these very late, and we'll try to be as objective as I can be. My next series will actually be on NC, so keep an eye out for that. I'll probably start recording that in about a week, and we'll be doing that. So let's start with the max weapons, since there's only one NS weapon we really have to review, because bursters don't really need a long time to introduce. Let's start with the max weapons. We're just going to go in order based on top to bottom. So the heavy cyclers. This is the default one. You get the right hand, I believe. No, you get the left hand, I believe, by default, and then you have to buy the right hand. Now, this is kind of, I forget the price point for this, but the heavy cycler is not really one you're going to want to take, because it's a jack of all trades, but it's not a good jack of all trades. It does 400 RPM. This is just one weapon, by the way. Keep in mind that this is multiplied by 2, since there's 2. And also keep in mind that each one has its own hip fire accuracy, so it's not like the right hand firing is going to increase the left hand's hip fire inaccuracy. They both have individual hip fire inaccuracies, so keep that in mind, guys. 400 RPM, 143 damage at 10 meters, 125 at 65. It has good damage fall off. It does 450 meters a second, reloads in 3 long and 2.4 short, and 60 bullets in the magazine, which gets bumped up to 90 with extended mags. And we're not going to equip that for the sake of the review, actually, because I want to prove a point with this in a second. So these are average at best. The only thing cool about them is that the sound is kind of a little unique. This is the only weapon in the category to have this sound. While being an average weapon, which I'll explain why in a second, it still has a lot of killing power simply due to the fact it's a max suit. But if we compare them to the next one, we're going to see that the mutilators, for all practical purposes, are really just better. At the expense of having a longer long reload, which with the amount of bullets in the mutilator should never happen very often, and higher muzzle velocity, the cycler just, why does it need to exist, and why would you ever want to use it over the mutilator? You have better muzzle velocity, and you have better ammo, and the extended mags on the mutilator pushes it up to 150 bullets in the magazine. That is significantly higher than 60 and 90 when using extended mags on the heavy cycler. And if you time your reloads correctly, the short reload is identical. As long as you have one bullet in the mutilator when you reload, you're going to get better performance out of it. You're going to kill more people. You're going to be able to hit harder with faster muzzle velocity and not have to lead as much. And everything else is identical. So, in my opinion, because of that, and this has been like this forever, the mutilator has always kind of been a direct upgrade to the cycler. Same with most of the default ones. The grinder is an upgrade to the scatter cannon, and the Cosmos, I think, is an upgrade to the Quasar. It's kind of silly how each faction has one that's literally a direct upgrade for all intents and purposes compared to the starter. But let's just go ahead and move on to the mutilators. The mutilators have the new sound from a couple years ago, and they have 100 bullets by default, 150. All of their stats are the same, except for the long reload goes up to 3.4 seconds, and the muzzle velocity goes up to 500 meters a second. Just look at all that dog. I'm going to equip lockdown mode as well for you, just so you can see this, how it applies with lockdown. The cycler would be identical with lockdown. I don't have exact numbers on lockdown since it does change based on the weapon system. 50% I think is for the pounders, 35 is for all the guns, but it is a noticeable upgrade. The Mutilator and the Heavy Cycler do have the same amount of upgrade from this, though. So, Mutilator's definitely better than the Heavy Cycler. Where would I place this? I'd place this as an option that you should get. I would definitely buy these guns eventually. They do provide utility in the fact that you can just, geez, you can kill a ton of people before having to reload, and it helps with a lot of sustained firefights. But for some situations, you're going to want one of the other two weapons. Moving on to Pounders. Pounders are an anti-vehicle grenade launcher. They have arc. They do 175 damage and 100 indirect damage. That makes it 275. That's a 4-hit kill if your target does not have flak, and they fire at 80 RPM, 100 meters a second. Reload in 2 long, 1.75 short, and have 4 in the magazine. There's no way to upgrade anything on this gun. You just buy the gun, that's it. Very tight hip fire accuracy, by the way. There's not a whole lot of bloom on this. Interesting. Now if we lock down.
Enemy infiltrator spot.
You can notice we get a much higher advantage. This is what I think. This is the one that gets the 50%. And Pounders are notorious because they can reach out quite a ways and touch enemies and do a lot of damage to them. Most of the Empire Pacific short-range AV weapons honestly have this issue. Falcons are the only one that are not as prolific, but they can two-shot enemies with the Falcons. You can literally just walk up to someone with a Falcon, do bam, that, kill them instantly. But it's not as prolific because you only get one shot in each magazine. Definitely buy these. These are very good against vehicles. You can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time with this. Just against a Prowler over here, let's see. Oh, there's no Prowler here. Oh, where are all the vehicles? Oh, okay, that sucks. Well, it kills a flash in 4 hits, lol. That's a very odd bug. I can't show you that in this review. That sucks. But definitely do buy. I can attest to their usefulness. Moving on to Onslaughts, these have the highest damage per second, but the weakest damage per shot. 492 RPM and 125 damage max, 100 min, 440 meters a second, 3-second long reload, 2.5 seconds short. Very fast reloads. 60 bullets in the magazine, gets bumped up to 90 when you equip extended mags. This weapon has a lot of cone of fire and gets very inaccurate at range. But if they're within face-hugging range, nothing will kill them faster than these weapons will. Definitely pick these up if you're a tower stomper, if you spend a lot of time in towers, or if you're like me where you only pull max suits at overpopped towers that you're defending, and you're defending against a hopeless amount of enemies. Pull these. These things are extremely useful, even more so than the Mutilators in a lot of situations. I would definitely rank these as one of the better machine guns on TRs. So the Fractures. The Fractures are okay. 80 RPM. Same as the Pounders, 125 damage direct, 50 indirect, 230 meters a second with an acceleration mechanic that takes it higher than that. 2.5 seconds long, 2.2 short, 8 bullets in the mag, and average, pretty tight hip fire. These are meant to target vehicles. And unfortunately, like most TR weapons, it is balanced against lockdown. Meaning that you really need to lock down in order to get the most amount of effectiveness out of this, so... It also has a very weird head bob because that, like, you see, like, if I'm like tapping and then letting off, the head bob isn't there. I'd really recommend that's how I'd recommend using this weapon, because if I hold down the trigger, it does that weird head bob, like down, up. It's really weird, and I'd rather just do this with continual point and click and not have to deal with that weird head bob recoil thing. and just get the recoil directly, and then, you know, compensate after I'm done firing, because there is a short delay after you finish firing where the recoil settles back into its original position. That to me is better than this, which is recoil plus this stupid head bob mechanic. It's annoying. When not locked down, these rockets are okay at reaching out and touching enemies, but you are not going to do a whole lot of damage per second to them. Nothing compared to a Vortex or what do you call those? Raven. They do more straight DPS. I think actually these do a pretty competitive amount of DPS, but the rocket arc trajectory and the cone of fire makes it so that you can't really touch targets when you're not locked down. It really requires lockdown to be able to lock down and then just annihilate everything in sight. If you can get into a safe lockdown position, there is no better long-range AV in my opinion. Even the Ravens, you know, are limited by their travel time. These things just are fire and forget rockets, and they're extremely effective if you can lock down in a good position. But if you're just mobile and moving around, they're good for applying damage, but don't expect too many kills. You will get kills though when you lock down. Mercies are the most accurate. They have a set amount of hipfire accuracy, I believe, and they have a flat damage of 125 at all ranges. 426 RPM. Actually, not set cone of fire. I'm sorry. It's very tight though. 3 seconds short, 3 seconds long, 2 seconds short. 50 bullets. Does not have any more bullets than the. This is actually the smallest magazine of any of the chain guns because it is the most accurate. But it does have a considerable amount of muzzle velocity at 550 meters a second. I believe that's higher than the mutilators. That's higher than all of them actually. So this thing's very pinpoint accurate and it shoots very fast. But it doesn't have a whole lot of bullets in the magazine. The most you can get is 75 per arm when you equip extended mags, which is still good. But if you're in a tower, I'd recommend onslaughts. If you're in the field, I'd recommend these or mutilators, depending on the situation. These, if you can move between cover, apply cover to your advantage, and you know, keep moving. But mutilators, if you just need to stay in one area and kill lots of things, definitely buy these. Worth it. The burster is simple. Don't try to kill infantry with it. I'm not going to review its infantry killing capabilities. Have to be a complete idiot to try and 1v1 someone with this. This is a flak weapon. Fire at aircraft, kill. Ooh, a black version of the burster. Gorgons. Alright, last one. This is the only NS weapon. Gorgons aren't very good against infantry, but they're extremely effective against max suits and liberators. They're okay against ESFs, but they really shine against liberators. Let me see if I can put enhanced targeting on. Where is it? Target focus. Before the flak buff a couple patches ago, if you wanted to kill liberators like dedicated as a max suit, you would equip Gorgons, even for how rare and niche they were. It was faster to kill a liberator with Gorgons than it was a flak weapon, because the Gorgons are a 20mm weapon. They can damage vehicles, heavy armor, they can damage everything. They're not limited to small arms and that such. Enemy max! Also does pretty kek-worthy amounts of damage if you get headshots on max suits. You can really, if the enemy has, unless it's a scat max, if the enemy has a machine gun on their arm instead of a Gorgon, and you get headshots and they get headshots, you'll kill them faster because of the Gorgons and the fact that the resistances on a maxes are weaker to Gorgons than they are to small arms. It's pretty ridiculous. 300 RPM, 125 damage flat, 490 meters a second, so no damage fall off. 4.4 long, 3.4 short, but 40 rounds in the magazine, and extended mags takes it up to 60. Yep. Pretty fun weapons. Definitely not gonna go around slaughtering infantry with it because any of the machine guns are better for that. But this offers, you know, anti-vehicle, anti-max, anti-liberator utility over any of the other ones. All right, moving on to sidearms. I'll be reviewing these without scopes. Hunter QCX. Do not use this, and let me put on Stalker Cloak so that it just immediately takes the weapon out. Do not use this gun unless you plan on trying to Araxium a knife by doing this. Shit. Oh, I do not have knife keybound. But what I was trying to show you is that you can do this. You can run up to a target if you're trying to Arax a knife and instantly melee without having to wait for the rechambered time. Do not use this weapon for anything else unless it's for utility, because it gets access to detect bolts, which are kind of useful, which are weaker versions of the dart gun on Infiltrator. Explosive bolts, which are memes, because then you can't one-headshot people. And smoke bolts, which are, please never use these, just destroys your computer's FPS. And I don't even think, yeah, you only get 2 per shot, but per clip. And detect bolts I think get 4, and explosive get 4 as well. Yeah, but this is the only sidearm that can one headshot someone in one trigger pull. Maybe not actually. What? Am I shooting them in the head? Does 650 at 35 meters, rechambers in 0.85 seconds, 150 meters a second, 3.5, 2.5 reload, 4 in the clip. That should be shooting them in the head. Wow, okay, it one-shot them when I was using this a few months ago. I have no idea what this is. Alright, that's nuts. I have no idea. Okay, maybe this has changed. I don't remember seeing a patch note that prevented this, though. This should be killing them instantly. It used to kill them instantly. I don't know what's had changed with this gun. But still, don't use this unless you're trying to Arax the knives. Underboss is is an okay side grade, in my opinion, to the Commissioner. Alright. Cool. Will 3-shot someone up close, 2 in the head. Very strong if you're good on the quick shot compared to the Commissioner. The Commissioner has better damage over the range and better just straight up damage and accuracy, but this is good for those quick shots where you just pull the revolver out and blow someone's head off if you're within close amount of distance. However, the Commissioner will reach out farther. This is the close range alternative to the Commissioner. It's like a baby Commissioner. 375 at 8 meters, 242, 221 RPM. That's much higher than the Commissioner's 170. 3.5 long, 2.5 short. Try to get the short reload. That 3.5 seconds is very brutal with only 6 bullets in the magazine. Decent hip, decent aim. Average for pistols. All in all, I don't like this gun personally, but I think it's a usable sidearm. I've heard a lot of people who do enjoy using it. I'm jaded because I had to do this Araxium like 3 times for black camo on 3 different characters, and yeah, I got pretty tired of it pretty quick. The Commissioner. The tried and true meta pistol with laser sight. I'm going to put the laser sight on because it makes this weapon good. I should have put the laser sight on the underboss. It makes it better as well. 450 meters a second and 450 damage at 8 meters, 225 at 42, 170 RPM, slower than the underboss. 4 seconds long reload, 3.0 seconds short. I'm tired. I saw that 6. 6 in the mag. Average tighter hip. I think it's got tighter hip. Yeah, it's got tighter hip. And average. Cannot one headshot someone, which is a weakness to this weapon unless they are an infiltrator, in which case, bam, instant kill. A lot of people tend to think that this is kind of makes the weapon kind of overpowered, and I tend to agree. I don't like the fact that this can one headshot infiltrators. It weakens them very much, since they only have 900 total health, and 450 times 2 is 900. But that's a balanced discussion for another video or the forums. But on every other target, it will take 2 headshots to kill. This is definitely the meta pistol because it can reach out and really hit targets out there with hip fire. And once you get good with it, you can become a real crack shot with it and dish out a lot of damage at range. Definitely buy this. This is the meta pistol. Moving on to the Blackhand. The Blackhand is a longer range version of the... I think you need to put a... hang on. Yeah, you do. I think, yeah, you do. a longer range version of the Commissioner. 450 at 5, 275 at 125, so slightly better damage fall off, same RPM, same reload, 4 bullets instead of 6, worse hit but tighter aim. By the way, side note, the stock sight, unless they fixed it, it doesn't appear fixed when I was moving my gun around, is bugged. It does not stay in the center. The reticle does not stay in the center when you move around like this. The gun shifts around a little bit, and it's less accurate. You can do a lot of damage at range with this. I've never personally been used this weapon very much. I don't have a whole lot of kills on my main account with this. And honestly, I don't think I ever will have a huge amount of kills with this on my main account because it's just, you trade a lot of, you trade a lot for versatility. You trade too much for versatility compared to the Commissioner. And that extra range is not really offset by the fact that the Commissioner can do a pretty decent job at the same ranges. Unless you want to talk extreme range, then the Black Hand has a slightly better advantage, but you have to have a 4x scope as well on the Black Hand, which is a downside because no one wants to always be staring through a 4x on their sidearm, and to me, that's not something I want. So I don't personally use this weapon, and I would not prioritize buying this weapon. The Pilot's an interesting addition to the arsenal because it can one trigger pull someone. It's not one shot kill. It feels like one shot kill if you get all the bullets to land, but it is not one bullet kill, i.e. not instantaneous. It does feel instantaneous on the target's receiving end though if you hit all those headshots, but with a laser sight and scope, this thing becomes pretty deadly. It's not bad. It's like a cracked up repeater, but with less bullets and way less damage in the magazine. 441 RPM, 200 at 8, 112 at 42, 350 meters a second, 2.35 and 1.85, pretty fast for a pistol. 12 in the magazine, fires in bursts of 3. Decent hip, pretty good hip actually with a laser, and decent aim. So you can either hit a person in the chest with 5 bullets or 6 at a slightly longer range, or you can hit someone in the head 3 times up close and they die instantly. It's a very fun weapon to use, but it has a high skill cap because you can't just like run around capping people. You can only do it to 4 people before you run out of bullets and gotta reload. So if you're like me and you miss a couple times, you know, bam, 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 then you finally get the kill. Well, you only got 3 bullets when the next guy comes around, so you better kill him instantly with the last 3 bullets or you're screwed. So, very high octane gun, very skill dependent. It's up to you whether or not you'd like this compared to something like the Repeater. I think the Repeater is a little more forgiving, and the Desperado, and God no, the Spiker sucks. But yeah, it can be a fun gun. I used it for a while and I enjoyed it. Moving on to the Emissary. The Emissary is an auto pistol, but my faction variants, the amp should be the only auto pistol. And that is all we're going to say on that. 125 at 15 meters, 577 RPM. By the way, I don't care that this is automatic. I was just saying people in Reddit were bitching. Looks like a Scorpion IRL. 360 meters a second, 2.8 long, 1.8 short. Pretty, a little longer than some of these ones. 25 in the magazine, but can be bumped up to 30 with extended mags. Optics, you can put a 1 or 2x on it, like most pistols. Look at that recoil, guys. There's literally no recoil to this gun at all. If you get memed on by this gun by losing a gunfight when you start it and the guy whips this out and kills you even though you started the gunfight, I'd strongly recommend uninstalling. Because if you die to this in that scenario, you might have a problem. Or get good. This will 4 headshot kill, but that drops off after 15 meters, and there's no soft point ammo to do anything about it. Don't run a suppressor. Just don't. Makes everything wet noodles in this game. This gun's okay. This gun sacrifices everything for extremely tight cone of fire and extremely low recoil, which, in my opinion, the ranges at which you're going to engage with a pistol, this is not worth it. Especially since, you know, if you can get over the recoil, again, the Commissioner does everything at every range, so why would you need low recoil if you can just cap people in 2 hits at range with 450 fucking damage? So the Emissary is kind of in a weird spot. It was mostly, I'm pretty sure it was designed for infiltrator mains because, you know, Stalker Cloaks wanted a primary weapon, pseudo-primary weapon that was weaker and could be equipped and was automatic. But just, the trade-offs are not worth it to me. Especially since our next gun, especially for TR, is an actual auto pistol that isn't total shit. 937 RPM and 100 damage. That's extremely low, in case you can't tell. And it's actually not bad once you fully upgrade it with a laser and 1x, excuse me. 1.6 second short reload. That's very fast. 2 seconds long. This is a very fast pistol in a lot of ways. 100 at 8, 71 at 50, 375 meters a second, same as the repeater. 25 bullets in the magazine, so slightly more than the repeater. Good hip, meh aim. It's not what you're supposed to use it for. Anyway. Why do they always despawn when I start shooting them? Up close, you can just wreck face if you get these headshots. Even at 100 damage, you know, the just sheer rate of fire takes over and kills them. It's also very fun to use, just to kind of jump in, kill someone with it. However, you'll notice that the effectiveness of this gun drops off fairly quickly. If I try to body shot that guy, it took my entire magazine, and I'm out of ammunition. There's also not a whole lot of reserve ammo that you'll burn through it pretty quickly. Especially if you get hyped up on it and you need to continue using this weapon. Like, you know, you don't have time to reload your primary because this thing reloads extremely fast. You'll burn through your extra clips very quickly because you only have 125 in reserve. Even there, just me strafing. Entire magazine to kill that guy. Verdict, meme gun, but a fun meme gun. It's better, it's definitely better than the auto pistol, the Emissary. But I wouldn't choose this over the repeater. The Inquisitor, a 2-round burst weapon. It used to be semi-automatic, and that was a pain in the ass trying to just... Hang on, let me see if you can still do it. Yeah, you can. Can you imagine trying to hit 531 RPM by doing this? Yeah, I could do it at one point, but I don't feel like doing it anymore. Now you can reach much closer to the target RPM by using its 2x burst mode, which is integrated to it, finally. 531 RPM at 143 damage, which isn't a great damage model. Even if, you know, I called the Tanto at 600, 143 shit, and this is a sidearm, which is supposed to be shittier than a primary, but it's even shittier than one of the shittiest primaries, which is pretty funny, but look at that ammunition and look at that reload speed. Same 375 meters a second, muzzle velocity, drops off to 91 at 60. Damage fall off doesn't really matter on pistols, because if you're using it anything other than short range, unless it's a Commissioner, you're an idiot, and you really shouldn't be using it at that range. Let's just put on a tried and true 1x and a laser. 4 headshot kills. Needs to kind of, I don't know what I was going to say there. You have a lot of bullets to kill people with. Assuming you're perfectly accurate, or, you know, you could get, you know, 5, 6, 7 kills with it before having to reload. There's a lot of bullets in the magazine. Assuming you're not perfectly accurate, you can still get 4 kills just based on body shots alone. It does have that obnoxious TR back left kickback recoil to it, but as long as you don't focus on that and you just focus on the reticle in the center, you'll be okay. Overall, I think it's a good option. I've heard people, I know my friends run it sometimes, but I prefer the next one on our list. Second one on our list. the Emperor. But comparing the Inquisitor to the Emperor does a lot of things that the Inquisitor does not, and that's why I prefer the Emperor a little bit. And I'll get into why here in a second. Still, the Inquisitor is a very good option when you're trying to spam fire. The Repeater, the stock pistol, and what some people would call probably the best starter pistol in the game. 3 times burst at 112 damage, 845 RPM, 375 meters a second, 1.6 or 1.7 short, 2 long, 21 bullets in the magazine. Good hip, aim. Again, has that obnoxious TR back left kickback. I wish it was fucking straight back. Good for starters. You can upgrade to any pistol you want, but this one will always serve you well, no matter what you choose. It's a good one to fall back on. Got nothing bad to really say about it, other than just try not to spam out too many bullets when you're a noob, because if you run out of bullets fairly quickly, and if you do, you're dead in the water. But to me, you're never dead in the water with the Emperor, which to me is my personal favorite sidearm. I run this one currently. I'm still running this one currently, as of this video. I don't run a sight on it because I don't ADS with it. When I do ADS with it, I do enjoy the iron sights a little bit over the kind of obnoxious looking 1X on this. This is a 167 damage gun with 21 bullets in the magazine. That is a direct upgrade from the Repeater in terms of damage per mag. So if you want just damage per magazine, it's either this or the Inquisitor. And I prefer this because I like my pistols to be semi-auto. I don't like the double tap on the Inquisitor because I don't seem to be able to link the bursts well together. But it's got good velocity. 390 ms is slightly higher. Does 167 at 15, which is nice, instead of 8. 400 RPM, which is weak, but it compensates for the fact that you can dink people in 3 shots, and it's a good finisher. So if they're at half health, you're only going to need 1 dink, maybe 2. Good hip, good aim, and yeah, go to town on kids once you learn how to headshot. Aim in general direction of head. Let loose your 21 bullets, end their lives instantly with client side. It's pretty nuts once you get good with this gun, and I prefer it because of the higher damage model and amount of bullets. You know, you go to NC and the mag shot has only 15 bullets at 200 damage. Well, why have that when you can have this and 21 bullets, which is still a 3 headshot kill and fires slightly faster if I remember correctly. It's a fun gun. Definitely recommend buying this. It's cheap too. I think it's only $325 or $650. Definitely a good cheap side grade to the Repeater if you're into that. But I think that's going to do it. I think that's all the sidearms. The President. Last one. The President was a bit of a meme for a long time because its muzzle velocity used to be like 175 meters a second, and it was like, why on earth would I use this? It was a direct downgrade. But if I'm comparing this to the Repeater, and if I remember correctly, it's slightly more accurate on the aim accuracy, at the expense of having fewer bullets in the magazine and a steeper fall off. It does have a no penalty suppressor. No, that would be a penalty of the suppressor. Sorry. It's okay. I don't think it's worth losing those 3 bullets over this gun to get that extra aim accuracy, especially since the amount of times you're going to be aiming the Repeater is going to be very slim anyway, because you're going to run out of bullets with it very quickly when you do. And it can't, like, 1 burst dink someone. It needs 2 trigger pulls. So, average directive upgrade. Average. It's not really an upgrade either, it's just average side grade. But it's shiny. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this review, guys. This overview. I hope this video is not too long, but anyway, this has been all the pistols and max weapons. Keep an eye out for those NC vids. Gonna probably start off with carbines again. Take it easy, guys. Bye.